Critical analysis of atmospheric claims, a rhetorical and scientific deconstruction of Dr. Karen Ben's interview. The following analysis pulls back the curtain on a popular scientific myth-busting session. While it presents itself as an outsider's truth, a closer look reveals a sophisticated use of rhetorical manipulation, demonstrably false data, and logical traps designed to lead the audience to a predetermined conclusion. While the guest, Dr. Ben, holds a PhD in environmental science, her specific expertise in water management and sociology is being used to provide a veneer of authority for claims that actually contradict the laws of atmospheric physics. Part 1. The mechanics of manipulation. First, let's look at the mismatch in expertise. While Dr. Ben uses her PhD to establish trust, her transcript reveals she is a specialist in water quality and sociology. In the world of high-level research, being an expert in water management does not make one an authority on the radiative forcing of greenhouse gases. This is a classic appeal to false authority, using a real degree in one field to sell a false narrative in another. The interview also utilizes the science denial playbook, specifically a tactic called poltering. This is the active use of selective truth to mislead. By mixing basic biology with massive scientific errors, the speakers create a trust sandwich where the lie is hidden between layers of verifiable truth. Consider the Trojan horse strategy. The guest spends time explaining high school biology, that photosynthesis exists and plants need carbon dioxide. This establishes her as reasonable. Once that trust is earned, she slips in the pivot, claiming that because nitrogen is 78% and carbon dioxide is only 0.04%, carbon dioxide must be irrelevant. The factual foundation is used as a disguise for a structural failure in the argument. We also see the Motte and Bailey tactic. The speakers retreat to an easy-to-defend position, like the idea that plastic pollution is bad, to make their controversial stance on climate change appear more reasonable. When challenged on the hard physics of the atmosphere, they switch back to the Motte. Don't you care about real pollution? Finally, they use the insider narrative. The guest emphasizes that she used to be a rabid greenie who was brainwashed. This is a calculated rhetorical move. It allows her to present herself as the brave outsider who found the hidden truth. This insulates her from criticism. If 99% of scientists disagree with her, she can simply claim they are the ones who are still bought or scared. Part 2. Red herrings and emotional anchoring. The interview frequently uses red herrings to distract the listener from physical reality. The speakers link climate science to emotionally charged topics, such as COVID-19 measures, Big Pharma, and even comparisons to the Holocaust. These are red herrings designed to transfer your skepticism or anger from one topic to another. They use subjective descriptors to trigger emotional anchoring, using the fear of enslavement and the relief of being told you aren't killing the planet to bypass your critical thinking. It is a comforting narrative, but it relies on you ignoring the objective data. Part 3. The hard data reality check. When we move into the actual scientific data, the narrative falls apart under the weight of several massive errors. The most glaring is the methane mistake. The guest states that methane in the atmosphere is 0.17%. In reality, atmospheric methane is approximately 0.00019%. The guest's figure is overstated by a magnitude of nearly 1,000 times. If methane were actually at the level she claims, the Earth would be an oven. She also makes easily disprovable claims about health, asserting that nobody dies of cholera or typhoid anymore. However, World Health Organization data shows that tens of thousands of people die from these diseases every single year. This brings us to the molecular dance. Symmetrical molecules like nitrogen and oxygen are blind to infrared heat. However, polyatomic molecules like carbon dioxide and methane are structurally looser. They absorb infrared heat and re-radiate it back to Earth. If the atmosphere had zero carbon dioxide, the Earth would be a frozen ball of ice. That tiny 0.04% is the literal difference between a frozen planet and a habitable one. Part 4. The equivocation fallacy and ancient climates. The guest further argues that because the Earth was hotter in the prehistoric past and life thrived, we should not worry today. This is a classic equivocation fallacy that ignores three critical factors. First, the rate of change. Past temperature shifts occurred over tens of thousands of years. Current warming is occurring over decades. This is an unnatural spike that is occurring too fast for ecosystems to adapt. Second, the faint young sun paradox. Millions of years ago, the sun was 4% dimmer. The Earth needed high levels of carbon dioxide just to prevent freezing. Today, the sun is much brighter, meaning those same levels of carbon dioxide would be catastrophic. Third, while life thrived in the past, human civilization is fragile. In those past hot periods, there were no polar ice caps, and sea levels were over 100 meters higher. A return to those conditions would submerge every major coastal city on the planet. Finally, we must address the plant food argument. Carbon dioxide is a pollutant in this context because its accumulation physically alters the planet's thermal balance. It also creates ocean acidification. When carbon dioxide dissolves in seawater, it forms carbonic acid, making it harder for marine life to survive. In summary, while the interview uses the language of truth-seeking, it omits the necessary physics and context required to reach an accurate conclusion. It replaces complex reality with a simple, manufactured narrative.